Welcome to On the Clock. I'm Nicole, and this video is going to walk you through a general account setup. To get started, click on Try It Free in the upper right-hand corner. Enter some of the details about yourself, your name, your business email address, your phone number, and the reason that you would like to subscribe. Click on Start My Free Trial and your 30 days begins with no payment information required. To get started, we're going to need to set a password. Pick something that's easy enough to remember. Set your time zone. I happen to be in Eastern, but there's several to select from. We're going to get started by adding employees. You have the option to send them a text message or an email to let them know their login information. Let's start with the first one. If you don't have an email address, you may use an username. Just be aware that when you enter something that is not unique, there will be 4 digits added to the end to make it unique. In this case, I'm going to just add 4. Password, you may randomize this and make it so that the employee can change it after. Mobile number is optional, employee number is optional. Number 2, and I'm going to randomize again. I'm going to leave the mobile and employee number field blank. Click Next at the bottom. The account's already set up. There's some general help videos, or click here to continue. Now you're in your account. I would like to get started by clicking on Employees at the top. This is where you can see the employees you have set up. If you're looking to edit the employee, you can click on the pencil. If you need to delete the employee because you made a mistake, you're able to click on the red X. You also have the ability to add more employees. You can add 1, you can add multiple at a time, similar to what we just did, or you can add 25 plus. In those cases, please feel free to reach out to support@ontheclock.com and we can assist. From here, it's a good thing to confirm the administrators. Go under Settings, Administrators, and let's see who's listed. I happen to be listed. This is good. I am able to access all of the billing information and settings, whereas the employees or managers do not have access to that. From here, I suggest setting up a manager. Going to Settings and Managers. This would be applicable if you have employees that you would like to be reporting into someone who may make edits to the payroll or track employee punches. So let's add a manager by entering their name. We'll do test manager, mobile phone, email address, and password. I'm going to randomize again so that the manager is able to change it. You may click send an email invite and that will go right to them and they will have their login information. Employee permissions, they either can be assigned to an employee or they can be managing all of the employees. For the purpose of this demo, we're going to go with assigned. They may or may not view employee payroll. Clicking green will allow that, red turns that off. For the purpose of this, we're going to let the manager view employee payroll. Time card permission, you may do full or read only. I would also like the manager to have access to full so that they are able to make edits. Leave any additional notes that you may feel necessary. Click Save and you have a manager. Now, the next recommendation to get set up is the locations. So you go to Settings, down to Locations. This would be important if you plan on using the mobile features. If you don't, you may skip over this section, but it's a good idea just to take a look at it. So click on New Location. I'm going to name this Office. This would be the main location. Could be one of many or may just be one. By clicking on Create Mobile GPS Punch Location, this is going to allow me to narrow down or restrict where employees may punch from. So you may enter latitude or longitude, or you may make it much simpler by adding in an address. And as you can see, the pin is dropped exactly where I had hoped it would be. You may choose a proximity from 100 meters up to 10,000 meters. I suggest somewhere in the middle range because sometimes GPS is not 100% accurate. All looks good. I'm going to click Save. So now, if you go back to the employee screen, let's choose an employee to use as an example. We may go to the Security tab, and from here, we want to set how they can punch in. Mobile punching in rules is set, it's turned green, it's enabled. As of right now, the mobile rule is to record GPS coordinates. Let's say you want to restrict where they can punch from. Since we just set up a location, if we clicked on Record GPS and Disable Punch if not at a GPS location, the employee would not be able to punch in unless they're within the radius that you set. IP authorization, if we turned this on, this would be useful for when an employee should only punch from a very specific router or internet address. If you're not sure what the IP address is, you may go to google.com and type in, "What is my IP address?" and then fill in the 4 fields. Over here, we have device and browser authorization. If you would like to choose the specific browser or device that someone may punch in from, this is where you would find the list. The employee first needs to make an attempt, and once they do that, their device or browser will be shown here. And you may allow or disallow depending on which one you see fit. Fingerprint is a premium feature we have. It's an additional 50 cents per month per employee. And if you click on Enable, you'd have to turn this on and follow our instructions that will be in a separate video for turning this on. This is a separate device that needs to be purchased, can be found easily on Amazon or a variety of other places. But for the purpose of this, we're going to skip over that. Desktop GPS rules, this is if you want to record the location from where an employee is punching from an actual computer or desk. So for this purpose, we're going to turn this off and we're going to focus on the mobile punching. Save settings. And this employee is restricted to punch in within the radius set at the office location. From here, you might want to set up PTO. So let's go down to another test. Click on PTO settings. There's a few options you can choose from. There's vacation time, sick time, holiday, or personal. You may accrue or allot. You may either set the number of hours they get for the year, or they may accrue based on the hours that they work. For the purpose of this video, we're going to do allot. We're going to say that this employee gets 80 hours per year. The accrual date could be the day that they start the employment, or it can be a fiscal year. Stop accruing. It's a good idea to set this 12 months out and re-review at 1 year. The previous balance, probably 0. Probably safe to leave that if it's a new employee, but if you're just starting using this system and they carried something over, you may type in the number of hours. If there's a max hours you'd like per year, this applies more to when you're accruing. You may enter a number in there. We're going to go down and save settings. All of the other options, the sick, personal, holiday, they all work the same way. Now, if you're aware of the holidays ahead of time, you may also go up to PTO, add bulk PTO, and this is a great place to be able to assign holidays in one quick swoop and select all the employees that you have. So let's say for both employees, for 2019, I know that they're going to get New Year's Day, put 8 in that field. I know for Christmas Eve, they're going to get 8, and I know for Christmas Day, they're going to get 8. Let me double check that I put this in the right column. It's under holiday, and I'm going to click Save PTO. From here, you can confirm that this is correct by clicking on time cards. There will be a time card that will be made for those holidays. So let's click on the period and scroll down to near Christmas of 2019. And you can see that they already have 8 hours in the holiday field ready. This takes us to the next topic, which is time card. I'm going to click on more options so that I can show you everything that's available. Your employees are listed with punch times, punch dates, I should say. 12/24, 12/25 as an example. You see that the 8 hours here is not showing up over here. In order to fix that, you can click on the gear and you have the ability to customize the columns so that you can see what's wider. Total hours, regular hours. Let's say we'd like to see vacation hours. We'd like to see holiday. We'd like to see sick, and we'd like to see personal. You would turn these off if they're not applicable to you. The other option you have while you're in here is to name it something new that's more applicable to your business. Export name is going to change the name on the file that actually exports to the payroll company. Looks good. I'm going to click Save Settings. Now I'm back in the time card screen, and you can see that holiday, vacation, regular, overtime, they're all showing. Makes it a little bit easier. If you have the ability for employees to enter tips and bonuses and commissions, this is a handy thing to have, but if not, you may also go back to that screen and get rid of those. So from here, you're able to select the various pay periods. You also can select a custom date range that would allow you to see a longer than 1 week or 2 weeks, whatever your pay period is. You may select a specific date, a department. You can narrow it down by employee, so it's a little bit easier to see, especially if you have more than 2. Again, by department, manager, or job. Over here, you may see punches, payroll, attendance. Let's go back to some of the settings before we continue looking at these. So we're going to go to settings, and we're going to do some settings on the time clock. Now earlier I showed you where you would set the time zone for the employee. This is where you set it for your account. I'm also in Eastern time, just like my employees, so those match. I want auto adjust for daylight savings on because that does apply to me. The pay period type, there's a few different options. You can go with weekly, bi-weekly, semi-monthly, monthly. Let's change it to bi-weekly. Pay period start date, I'm going to go with the 18th. This is key because it's important to note that it's not so much the date that it starts, but the day of the week. So what I'm saying is that bi-weekly, my pay period is going to start on Monday. Over here, you have a few additional options for punch rounding. You may round employees' punches to the nearest 6 or 15 minutes. You may turn on an audit trail. I would prefer this. I'm going to turn that on because it's very handy to see when various things have been edited. You have the ability here for an admin or manager to approve time cards. Great way to add to the finalization. Employee may also approve. Let's turn that on. Basically, the employee has the option to say, I agree that this information is correct, so that you're both on the same page. Or you may also require them to type an approval response. Click Save. Now we're going to go back to the settings again. Back to settings, time clock settings, and we're going to go through the other fields. Here's the advanced settings. We already touched on this a little bit. This relates to time off and the different types of hours. SMS text options may be on or off. Let's turn it on. If you do turn this on, just be aware, texting is a $2 fee plus 1 penny for every message sent. This Remember Me checkbox makes login a little bit easier. For administrators, it can be on. For managers, it would be on. I would not leave this on if you're on a public device. We're going to save the settings. Go back to time clock settings. Under payroll providers, you will see we have a direct connect set up to 5 different ones. All you need to do is click on connect. For example, if you were using QuickBooks, and then in your time card window, you'll see a blue button pop up, and that's where you can click to send your payroll directly. If your payroll provider is not in here, we have several exports set up. So I'm going to skip back over to the time cards and click on those. So if you click on more, you will see that there's a variety of different payroll providers that we have here. And when you click on those, you'll get an Excel format that goes to your email that you can send directly there. Export CSV is similar. It's an export of your time card to Excel. Go back to time clock settings one more time. And finally, the employee punch site. Group punch is handy to set up when you have several employees that you would like to punch in from one device. For a tablet, for example, you would turn group punching on, and then when you log in as an admin, you have the option to turn it on. So the employee just needs to enter a number, and that's it. You may also put your business logo on the screen of the punch site by choosing a file and uploading. The schedule, you can make it so that it's either employees see it personally or they can see it for all employees. We'll touch on that later. The Remember Me feature, employees here is on. Again, makes logging in a little bit easier. Multilingual prompts, we have the option to turn this on, and you may enter what you would like these fields to say in a different language. This is for the group punch site. A global message, you can select a start date, message through date, and this message will go to all of your employees on this group punch site. So for example, if you wanted to have a meeting or if you wanted to let them know to have a great holiday, you could put this here and everyone will see it. We're going to click on Save Settings, and we're back in the time card screen. So let's say you want to look at the time card screen, but you're not seeing any punches. To test this out, we have the feature to add day or add multi-day. I'm going to click on Add Day. We're going to select the date. So let's say today, the 16th, this employee was in for 8 hours. We could type 8 in the regular field. We can save this, and you'll now have a punch. Now let's say, instead of just adding straight hours, you would like to add a punch. We could go here. Let's say they missed punching in Friday, quite common, 11:15, select the employee, and we're going to click Add Punch. From here, you can type in their in time. Let's say they came in at 6 and they were out sometime in the afternoon. Scroll down, let's say 3 o'clock. You can leave a note there. Add the punch. I apologize, didn't need to add the punch again. Click Save. And now you have the punch for Friday as well. This is really good because employees tend to forget to punch in, or they were busy, or for whatever reason, it's very easy for you to go back and add. Adding multi-day works similarly, but you have the option to put in for multiple days. So let's say all last week you want to enter punches in, you can put 8 here, 8 here. Actually, we need to put those in the regular field. Sorry about that. And you see you have a total of 24 hours for this particular pay period. Select the employee, click Save, and your edit's complete. I'm going to move over to the scheduling features from here. So basically, we have the ability to set a schedule so that employees can view who is working what shift. By clicking on New Definition, we can name this shift, let's say morning shift. The start time is 6 a.m. If you type in a 6, the pre-populated fields will show up, makes it a little bit easier. Let's say this goes 6 to 1 o'clock p.m. And we're going to save it. Now from here, I can go to View Schedule, and my employees are listed with the days for the pay period. If I click on the blank field, I'm able to add to this employee their location that they plan to work, the date, their shift, let's say the morning shift, and I'm able to save. We also have the option to copy these shifts to make it a little bit easier. If you scroll down here, you're able to choose the employee, pick the dates, let's say the 20th and the 21st, and click copy. So now you can see that test employee is planned to work the morning shift Monday the 18th, Wednesday the 20th, and Thursday the 21st. You may also export this to Excel, PDF. This is also a key feature to note. Click on the gear to make sure that this is published. You as the admin have the view, but if you would like your employees to make sure that they can see it, you need to click Publish Now, click OK, and you're all set. Your employees will be able to view the schedule. From here, we also have something called Fixed Schedules. Go up to Schedule, down to Fixed Schedules, add a schedule. This allows you to set up start time, end time, account for breaks, such as general 15-minute breaks or a lunch. Select the employees that you might want to send reminders to. So if you have an employee, for example, that needs a reminder to punch out at the end of the day, this section here is where you would do that based on the times that you list in this screen. The reminders are 10 minutes, so they can be reminded 10 minutes prior to a shift, 10 minutes prior to a shift ending to make sure that they punch out, and that can go to their phone. Let's do an in time of 6 a.m. Going to copy that down. Out time of, let's try 5:00 p.m. Copy down. And the way it's set up right now, they punch in at 6 a.m. and they manually punch out at the end of the day. If you had a reason that they would need to be auto punched out, this is where you would do that as well, and the system will punch them out at 5 p.m. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to click back on manual, and I'm going to say down here for the reminders, I would like to apply to test employee the ability to have a punch reminder. So now this employee will be notified 10 minutes prior. If you'd like to add a break in here, you may add lunch. So let's say the out time is 11 a.m. In time is 12. And we may copy this down. You have the option to choose whether this is a paid break, yes or no, or for some of it, and whether the employee manually punches in or auto punches out. In some cases, it might be helpful to you to have the employee have the ability to auto punch in and out at lunch. Looks good. I'm going to save the schedule. Oh, I forgot to name it. Let's name this. We'll just do a sample and click save. And all set. You can now find it here to edit it or delete it if you would like to make a new one. I'm going to go through the general settings through the top. So you have the dashboard. You may see who's in from here. You can see that your employees are currently punched out. You can see your managers and your employees. You may click on these pencils to edit or the X to delete. Who's in is handy because if someone forgot to punch in, you have the ability to punch them in manually at the time that you view it, or type in a time and click punch in. When you have GPS settings set, this is where you would be able to see the pin dropped for where they are located. Let's go back through settings. Employee groups is another time-saving feature I would like to mention. New employee group is how you would get this started, and it's the same settings as per employee. If you notice, you have general, PTO, security, just like you did before. However, you're setting it up as a group so that when you would like to edit, you may just do it here in one spot. So for example, if you wanted to change the manual time entry and adjustment, you could turn it on here, and every employee assigned to this group would have that setting. Manual time entry and adjustment allows employees to be able to edit their own time. Going back over here, we have the ability to set up departments. You may add a department, let's say marketing, for example, and you may assign it a code that you wish. 1, 2, 3. Click save, And when you're going through employee setup, you may assign the employee to the marketing department, which could be helpful if you want to see how many hours were worked under various departments. Another setting is jobs under settings. You may add a job. Jobs need to be set up ahead of time. So let's say cleaning, job code could be 345 or whatever you wish it to be. Click save, and then when you set up employees, we're going to go back there in a minute, you'll be able to see how you can assign jobs to employee, or I shouldn't say assign, so that employees may punch in under certain jobs. There's other settings like account info, billing info, punch automation, job project costing. Let's go down to this one to follow up with jobs. So here you may have the employee punch in under a particular customer, a particular project, or a particular task. This works very similar to the job setup where you type in the name of the customer and the code and click on save. So now if I go back here to the employee list, I'm going to select an employee, and in general settings, I'm going to scroll down, and under job and project costing, you may choose to turn these things on. Job selection on. Since we entered a job, it's a good idea to turn the job on unless you don't need it. You may have it on so they can optionally punch into a job, or so that it's required. So let's do required. That way you can track better. Let's go back over here. We talked about manual time entry and adjustment. You may allow your employee to change their password. Daylight savings is a good idea if it's applicable. We have a check-in feature, which does not work like punch-in. Check-in just lets you know that someone arrived at a location or whatever the reason might be. It does not mess with the punching in and out. And then allow clock in and out needs to be turned on so that employees can use the system. Department, since we have marketing, this employee can be set to marketing and under test manager. If you had other managers set up, you'd be able to assign them so that they all get the same type of privileges to the time card for an employee reporting to them. If you go down to overtime and break, overtime after, you may set whatever is applicable to your state. For me, I'm going to go with 40 hours. You may also auto deduct a break after however many hours the employee has worked. And the break duration, you may select, let's go with 15 minutes. Additional features, group punching, we had talked about that. If you would like this employee to be allowed to do that, you need to turn that on. If you have an issue with employees who may be punching in before their start time, you may choose to type in a time that says employees may not punch in before 6 a.m. Require punch confirm makes it so that they have to click OK basically to confirm that they were punched in. It's just like an extra double check. And then here you can allow for entering tips, bonuses, or commissions. And as you can see, you have to make sure you enter the right time. If you type in 6, let's try that. Okay, and it's saved. One other new feature that we have that I'd like to talk about is the ability for accountants to add clients under their account. If you click on account info, you will see you have the ability to put your company name, your payroll, your contact name, all of your information. You may edit here. If you want to link an account to yours, this would give the administrator access to the payroll, time cards, things like that. You click on linked accounts, and basically you invite the admin of the other active account. You can enter in their email address, click on invite and request access, and they will get an email to follow instructions to say that this is okay. Let's go back to time cards one more time. Turning on the audit log, we didn't talk about that much. That is helpful because you're able to see when edits were made. If you see, these lines are added in here. Ability to approve the time card. Let's say this was final. And after I clicked approved, I would like to archive this time card. By archiving, it's finalizing your time card for the pay period. There are certain settings that we have that go retroactive. So if you don't click on archive, the settings may be changed. So So it's a good idea, once you've approved, employees have approved, if you've chosen that option, to archive and you're all set. From here, you may print, email, or export to CSV. That concludes our demo today. I hope this was helpful to you. If you have any further questions, please reach out to us at 888-753-5999 or support@ontheclock.com, or you may chat with us on our website. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.